So the first one is the one that you're probably going to talk about, which is Monte referencing before, Score, the KT Bullets jungler. So why did you have this guy, Monte?
Well, for me, I think he's probably my number one of all time. So several reasons. Now, it is difficult to talk about role swaps here because there are, are we considering role swaps, which is a nod to Impact, which we discussed earlier. But Score went from being a very good AD carry to an extremely good jungler that was constantly kind of brought down by his garbage teammates. And really what's so amazing about Score is his consistency was just unbelievable. Like, the guy barely ever had any bad games. And even though it took him so long to win a domestic tournament, I think he's still played more games in LCK than anyone else. He may have been passed by Faker recently since he went to the military like a couple years ago. But I also think that they were probably the best team at the 2018 World Championship. And again, this is another thing where if double elimination had occurred and they didn't just randomly hit IG in the quarterfinals, that we would have been having a very different conversation about his career.
Piece of it, trivia. So today I published an interview with Youngbuck, who was on Fnatic, the team in the final of Worlds, and he says that if KT Bullets had won the series against IG, it would have been an amazing final, and he doesn't even know if Fnatic would have won it back and forth, and that RNG, if they'd have won, would have just won the whole tournament. So actually, like, he also supports the idea that, like, it's not just some hype. Like, the problem is this. Fans can't escape what did happen. They think that always had to happen. So what they do is they go like this. Yeah, it was 5 games, but the first 2 were shit, and then IG was about to beat the Nexus. Yeah, that's one possible scenario. That is one possible scenario. What happened the rest of the year when IG played? What happened in Scrim? Well, I know that doesn't matter to the result, but, like, the point is, what were the potentialities? Like, IG, in my opinion, only hit that peak in the playoffs. Like, they were way worse when they were playing. Like, fucking Swaz was dusting them off in the fucking groups. Like people, again, you can't just take the results only. We have to look at how they played.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to, like, do this is you go into, like, recent times, right? And you think about, with a different format. Let's say LPL doesn't have double elimination and they just have the standard winner bracket format, which is what they have up until the top 4, right? FPX 3-0s RNG, right? And then RNG isn't even the conversation. We're not even saying, are they one of the best teams in the world? They 3-0 RNG, and you're like, look at FPX's level. They're so much better than RNG. How could they ever lose to RNG? They didn't even drop a game, right? And then you look in what reality happened with the format with double elimination. RNG battles back, has 2 5-game series back to back, and then they end up beating FPX, and now they're considered the best team in China, right? Without that happening, like, you don't know what's going to happen.
No, history would remember that FPX was way better. Yeah,
FPX was the best team in China by far. Yes, that's what people say.
In terms of, like, the world's format being dog shit, which it is, like, 2018 is the ultimate example of that, because effectively we got the best match in the quarterfinals, which was just awful, right? And, like, it was a super good series. Who wouldn't have liked to have seen another, like, rematch between those two teams? We never got to see KT versus any of the other, like, top teams in the tournament in a best of 5. We were just robbed. Like, the fans were just completely robbed in 2018. So, I don't count that on Score. Like, that just sucked in terms of, he got formatted by Riot, right? And, he also, if you look at his career, look how many times he was, like, so close. The last final I casted in Korea was the 2016 summer final, where he basically, was one smite away from winning his first title, right? He came this close, and the Tigers got hit their first title instead, right? But he kept coming back. He was in the final again, the next split, right? And then he got 3rd place after that. And then he won finally. But his level of performance, and remember, this is a guy whose teammates changed completely multiple times. Like, you just talked about. Keeps, like, dragging his team back.
Let's see if they can guess, right? Let's see if anyone could guess. Again, fans, if you think you're knowledgeable, when Monty's talking about these teams, like Season 6 summer, he was also in the finals in Season 5 summer, who were his mid laners those years? You're going to have a hard time, and when you realise you're going to get fucking depressed. Again, these guys, that's why you know that they are real candidates for the greatest. Because most of the
was 2015, right? Was that 2016 as well?
Summer 2015, when Faker just, like, bodied Nagne. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
I mean, Nagne, well, I was just going to say real quick, Nagne was significantly worse than Western mid laners at that point. Like, Bjergsen was a level far above Nagne. When you saw them interact at Worlds, it was like, you're getting solo kills, 50 CS up. Like, Bjergsen handed Nagne his fucking asshole at Worlds. So, yeah, I mean, that's just some context of how bad fucking Nagne was compared to, like, the Korean goats or whatever.
The problem is a lot of the people that fans are going to put forwards not only won the most titles, but it goes hand in hand, had some of the best teammates, hence they won the most titles. So what you're going to realize is even the idea that like Score can be in this conversation with very few titles. Then you go look at the teammates and you go, holy shit, mate, like your GM just ruined your career. Like you should never even, like essentially, here's the answer. Someone else goes to me, he must have been a choker if he lost all those finals. And I go, you dumb motherfucker. He should never have been in the finals. It's the other way around. It's like Aaron Rodgers, mate. Oh, he can't be that good if he loses in those playoff games. What, where he just always scores like 20 points in the defense, that's 37. And like, what are you talking? Yeah, by that logic, he should never even be in the playoffs, should he?
Well, it's also, he lost 4 finals before he actually won one. And then it was just like, he finally got there when he had good teammates. But the fact that his teammates were just constantly changing, and he was always in the conversation. And I think, in fact, he should have at least made the finals at 2018 had the format not been awful. If not won the entire thing, because I think they were a better team than IG.
Yeah, so what I think counts against him is the fact that like at his supposed peak, which is like 2018, 2019, is the worst performance that we've ever seen from Korea. So like when he was absolutely peaking, you know, like how you say 2014 was like the absolute height of Korea, that's like when the league was the hardest to win. So like if you win that league at that period, you get more points for that. I feel like you lose points if you're the best team in Korea in 2018, 2019, because those are the 2 worst years that Korea's ever had in the history of League of Legends, besides for maybe 2021.
But you say that, but again, like, would we be having that conversation if IG and KT had faced in the finals and we would have still, and KT had taken second place, right? That's the problem.
I mean, I think that like what you lose is like maybe KT was that good, but then you look at like the second best team. You look at the second best team, which is like Africa, right? And they got 3-0'd by Cloud9. So that's like where the issue is like the third team at that tournament bombs out of groups, right? And that's the former winner. That's the champion of 2017. The champion of 2017 goes 1-5 in groups, loses to like Cloud9, which is like an NA team, which is crazy at that time, right? And then the second best team also underperformed. So like the fact that all 3 Korean teams underperformed, I feel like is where like the argument kind of breaks down, is like, okay, maybe KT was that good.
Well, I don't think they underperformed. They lost to the eventual champion in a match that was on the cusp of.
They were the only people to win fucking games against them. I'm not missing something.
He 3-0'd the next 2 rounds.
I mean, the thing is, like, also like Fnatic took 2 games off IG like in group stage.
In the groups, yeah.
Yeah. So like for me, like my perception of IG wasn't that they were gonna like win the whole thing at that point in the tournament when they played against KT. Like they didn't look that good, you know, like they looked at that point, my perception was, oh shit, they just lost to Fnatic. They're probably worse than Fnatic. And then you also consider the fact that like IG was not supposed to even be the best team from China at the tournament, right? Like RNG had just got done clapping IG's cheeks. So at that point, you're expecting like RNG to just win in quarterfinals versus G2 easily, and RNG is like the favorite to win because they former MSI champions and everything.
Right, Dom just needs to take a toilet break for a second, so we'll take one now because we're not going to be able to finish this roll in time. So we'll be right back afterwards, and we'll go through the rest.
All right, perfect.
Right, we're back. As I said, this is actually a role that has 1 million people on the like some potential ones between. So obviously everyone doesn't have the 20-minute segment, but we'll go to the next one.
I want one more point on score. I want one more point on score. to address Dom's point, because he was saying like that was the easiest years to win in Korea, but that was the only time that Score had real teammates too. So in terms of his performance, I think his individual performance over the years was really good. And in terms of stability, I think it's not really controversial to say that he was the most consistent jungler of all time.
So. Yeah, I would have to think about that one more, but I could accept that for now. I'm just surprised that, like, is there any other jungler in any other region that could be viewed as more consistent? Like, I would think that maybe Karsa could be in that.
Karsa's on my list too.
Yeah. I would say Karsa would probably be in my conversation for most consistent jungglers of all time, because he's played so well across so many different teams, even with like super demanding teams, right? Like he's had to play with guys that it's like really, really, really known as tough to play with, and almost no one survives. Like who survives playing with Uzi and Jackie Love? Like what the fuck? Like
I think Karsa's definitely a strong candidate.
Yep.